So you guys, there's this movie going on Netflix, and it's called, I believe, The After. I didn't know anything about this movie. This movie is about 18 minutes long. This past weekend, I was at my son's basketball practice, and I was sitting there with my friend. We were just talking about things, and I, I guess I was talking to him about growing up and my dad passing away, and how my dad was in my life and our relationship between my dad and I, and how my dad was very business minded. He had his own business, and he was working extremely hard for that. And but then my dad always made it a point, no matter how busy he was always there for my football games, for our events. He was always putting my brother and I involved in karate, music. He just wanted us to be involved, and my dad was always there, regardless of how busy he was. But then I also made a comment to my friend. I said, whenever I have a conversation with my dad, it's always about business. And we never really talk sports because my dad's really not that type of sports person. He likes watching it occasionally here and there, but he's not really big into it. He never follows it. And we don't really talk about anything else. He does talk about politics, and growing up when I was always in the car, my dad would always listen into talk news or politics or just radio all the time. So whenever my dad and I have that conversation, it's always about business or politics. But I didn't care, to be honest with you. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. But for the most part, I had an opportunity to have a conversation with my dad. And that was the most important thing to me. And my friend mentioned a comment. He's like, man, there's this movie on Netflix that you need to check out, and it's called The After. And I was like, The After? What is that? He said, man, I don't want to tell you about it. I just say that you should watch it, because when you watch it, then you're going to sit there and your mind's just going to be like, poof, like just blow up. And I'm like, you can't give me a little bit? And he's like, no, I want you to watch it yourself. I want you to check it out. It's called The After. It's only 18 minutes long, but it's such a powerful movie, or a short film, not movie, short film. So after practice, we ran some errands. We went to the flea market. We did a lot of stuff. And then there was a moment where I was actually home by myself, and I actually remembered, I'm like, oh yeah, my friend mentioned the movie The After. So I turned it on, and the movie is about, a dad and his family, and he's with his little girl. And those have seen it, I'm just going to go through it. Those who have not seen it, you don't have to watch this video, or if you don't care, but I'm just going to share it because I believe it's important to understand. But his dad, it starts off with his dad, and he's walking with his daughter, and the dad's on the phone, and he's like this business dad. He's like looks like one of those higher ups types of businessman, always busy. And he's, walking with his daughter, and I guess his daughter had a recital later. And he wasn't able to make it because he was too busy. His daughter really wanted him to attend. And so while they were walking, he was dancing with his daughter, having a good time while he was leading her to where she needed to go. And then out of nowhere, this guy on a bicycle, almost hits his daughter. And so he pulls, and then he like flinches. And then something dawns on him where he's just sitting there thinking, should I really go to my business meeting and miss my daughter's recital event? So he realized, what's more important. And so he decided to postpone his meeting because he wanted to be there for his daughter. And so he told his daughter, what, I'm going to be there. I'm coming. And then his wife was excited that he was coming too. He got a phone call. He was a little distracted. He stepped away for a moment. And then sadly, a guy with a knife going around stabbing people approached his family. He turned around and he asked the man to stop. The man lunged at the family. His wife dove, trying to block the daughter, but missed and ended up stabbing the daughter and throwing the daughter off the bridge. Long story short, he lost his family. So some time had gone by. He was in a state of shock. And, some time has gone by, and then he ended up no longer doing the business, becoming, I guess, whatever company he was working for. He decided to become a cab driver. He was still trying to cope and deal with what he had seen, such a tragedy, and life going all that. And while he was taking these people in the car, he was listening to their conversations, and some people were having some conversation where it was just kind of pointless things. And I think going through his mind, he was like, that's not important. Some people he can relate to and whatnot, until there's this family where it was a mom and dad where they're arguing, and their daughter, that he reminded him of his daughter, she was in the back seat, and he can just tell by her face that she was like hurt because the mom and the dad were always arguing. And then towards the end, the daughter ends up hugging him behind, and it catches him off guard. And it reminded him of his daughter and his family and what's most important and what he's lost. And that he didn't really have proper time to kind of grieve like he should have. And then the movie ends up going off, and then I'm just thinking to myself, man, that's rough. But it had me thinking. It really had me thinking. How many of us can relate to that dad or that situation? And it bothered me because one of my greatest fears in life is something happening to one of my boys or my wife. That is one of my greatest fears. I pray and I always ask God to continue protecting Noah, protecting Kai, protecting Ayano while they're away. Asking the Lord to continue placing his hand on them, just keeping them safe and away from harm, if it is his will. Because my prayer is that they live to have such strong and long lives to make a difference in this world. But again, it's not up to me. It's whatever God has planned for them. Like if he wants them to have a short impact in this life and then come home, or if a long life and then come home. But at the same time, let's be honest, we don't want anything to happen to our family. And I remember I made a promise a long time ago, before Kai or Noah were born. I made a promise to myself that I would never be too busy for my family. I always said that my dad was always there for us, regardless of how busy he was with his world work or anything. He always pushed it aside, and he always came to my events, karate, football, music. He was always keeping my brother and I involved in something, and he was always present. Sometimes he would drop us off, but for the most part, my dad was always there. And that means a lot to me. And that is something that I want to continue doing for my boys. I don't want them to see that their dad is too busy for them, that work takes priority over them. That is why I named this podcast G.F.E. God first, family, then everything else. And I know in the Word, God says as long as we keep things in perspective, that everything will take care of itself. And obviously God comes first, and then our family, and then whatever is going on. So when I saw that it freaked me out. But then at the same time, I said, you know what? I'm going to try to treasure every single moment that I'm with my boys. Yes, they drive me crazy at times. They make me upset at times. But who doesn't? Am I the perfect son to the Lord? Am I the perfect son to my mom and dad? No, I'm not. I make my mistakes, and then I try to learn from them. Same thing with my boys, and I'm trying to bring them up and teach them in the right way to go. One, knowing the Lord, and then being respectable, and then also letting them know that I am always going to be there for them, regardless of what happens. I did have one little scare with my little man when he was around 1 to 2 years old, and I'm thankful that nothing happened, and I praise God for looking after him. But since then, Kai likes to go off with his friends, and I pray and ask God to continue looking over after him while he's away. Same with my wife and same with Noah. But this movie put things into perspective and understand that we should always be present in our children's, in our wives' or husbands' lives. Always being there to support them, letting them know that nothing takes priority over them, except for the Lord, obviously. Because, again, our children are not always going to be there. But we also want them to remember that their family, their dad or their mom has supported them through whatever they were interested or made them excited. So it was a message to me that I wanted to share with you that I just thought was really cool. I recommend checking out this movie on Netflix. It's called The After. For a mom or dad, really seriously take some time, sit down with your children, just stare at them if you need to, and understand, and let them know that you love them, let them know that you care about them, and be thankful to the Lord that they are always that they're a gift and a blessing from God. So I wanted to share you with that movie. Check it out. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.